Hey traders, D here, aka Options Tender. We're going to take a look at SPX on multiple time frames. Then we're going to check out VIX and a couple different markets if we have time, perhaps a dollar as well. We had a real tricky day today, a round trip from open to close. And I think this might be it. Now that tomorrow's OPEX is going to end, I do believe the grip on the market is going to be over, and we may have our downside movement to complete the week. And don't forget, we have a 3-day weekend. So let's dive into it. But before I go ahead and hit that Options Center logo and subscribe. And don't forget, hit the like buttons. We appreciate all of your help here supporting this channel. All right, now we have SPX on the monthly time frame. Notice I have highlighted this arena, this area, this trading area here. We're just now peeking back into it. I said that 4100, 40 on the SPX, about 4080. So we're right on top of it. We get back into that area. That's going to be very bearish. That's going to be a fake break back down into the trading zone, and we should, at minimum, test the bottom of it. Okay, going to the weekly. On this weekly time frame, we have a channel that that held very well. We broke out of it. It appears that we're breaking out, and yes, the bullish idea is firming up. We have a high, a higher low, and a higher high here. So I do appreciate that this is starting to bring us into a bullish realm, but we really need to close above this key point here in order for us to really change the higher time frame structure, meaning the weekly. Other than that, this is just a lower high at this point. Okay, that's all I want to look at this chart for structure-wise. We can look at the MACD. MACD is just now getting back to the neutral area, and the RSI still in that neutral to slightly bullish zone as well. Let's go to the daily time frame. I want to spend a little bit more time on this one because it shows in the past that we have this contraction and that goes into expansion. So at this point, I want to look back to this zone back here in June. We spent about 10-11 days in this zone, very, very similar to what we did here. It was the same chop zone from the 4100, let's just call it 4100 to the 4170 area. It's just a zone, and we're chopping back and forth. And so that's the same thing that's happening here. It happened here, although we broke to the upside, and then came back down as a fake break. So that's this, this zone is very, very important. And so that's why we've been consolidating here. And also, this is very, very similar to what we had during the holiday trade as well. If you notice, we had very good support, and we just kept trying to push up, but get knocked down. And push, knock down over and over. This was 11 days as well. It's the same concept, and we got our reversal back to the upside. And I think that this is happening, and we have our reversal to the downside. But let's zoom in. I don't think it's going to be confirmed until it's underneath this 40-80 area. It's very important. We stopped right at this 20 simple moving average. There's no coincidence on that. And then once we get underneath here, we can move to the zone that we were talking about. We need to retest that 200, the 50, and this uptrend here. It's a very, very important area. And I think we may be able to reach it as soon as tomorrow. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but it's really only 100 points a day in one day. And you've seen us do that so many times, especially when there's catalysts like the CPI and the PPI that really wanted to bring the market down, but we had a handful of stocks that kept us up, and those stocks are starting to turn. Okay, so that's our prime point for looking into tomorrow. And then if we go over to ES, says the same thing. I'm not going to get, let's go over to NQ. on this daily time frame. And what I was trying to show in Twitter, in a lot of my posts, I was constantly posting that all we're doing is backtesting. This main channel here, unlike the SPX where it had a wedge and then formed a channel and we're testing the channel bottom right now, this is a channel that broke down and all we were doing is backtesting. It seemed so strong and so powerful and it seemed like this was going to go forever and we're going to make new highs, but really we're just backtesting that trend line 4 different times. Now that can really wear you out. That's what bear markets do. And so we stuck with our game. We stuck with it. We're still on our puts, and we're starting to break that 12,500 area right now. So we'll look into tomorrow and see what happens, see what we're doing. I do think we're going to break it. I think we're going to go test in NQ down at the 12,200 area, if not lower. RTY. This is a small cap, so you guys, small cap futures, if you're not familiar. It's the same game. Okay? This one, same thing. We had a major channel here that broke down, and we're just backtesting. Not even strong enough to backtest the downtrend line. I guess you could draw it in different ways. But the important thing for this one hasn't broken its secondary line yet. The others have. And so this is another key to look at to see if it breaks down from that secondary trend line and to see if that will help the market move lower. And YM is off in its own world. You have the Dow Jones futures here. It's in a very, very tight triangle. And this is starting to, it's one of the bigger candles we've had in a while. So we'll see if there's follow through here right at that 50 moving average. But the moving averages don't mean so much when they're sideways. All it means to me is that it's ready to trend in a large move and trend perhaps very similar to this last trend. And all it's doing is consolidating. It could break up, break down. It doesn't matter to me. Once it breaks out of one of these zones, I'm rolling with it, okay? Because it's going to trend for a while, for weeks, to if not months in that case. All right, let's go ahead and look at the VIX, and then we'll check out Bitcoin. We're at about 7 minutes, so we have a little bit of time. Okay, so once again, the bottom of this triangle is being tested. It's being tested over and over again, and relentlessly, prices is continuing to bounce off of it. So we know it's very important. I told you it's very important that we stay above. Otherwise, the character of the market would really, really be different to me if we started to break down from this wedge and from this triangle, because the market overall should be in a bull market, and we should see brand new highs. And this characteristic of this holding and big moves today, especially bullish engulfing back over the 8 EMA and the 20, and breaking out of this wedge again. It started to break back down into it and now breaking back out. And so this market structure wise, we had a low and we're trying to make a higher low that's not confirmed until we get above this 22 area. So once we get above 22, that will be confirmed that we have a more bullish aspect on the VIX, and that in turn will be very bearish on the market. Okay. One last thing, we'll look at the Dixie, and then we'll go to BTC because we have a few minutes left. All right, so we've been looking at this as the dollar has risen, the market has fallen. And so we see the dollar going down, and that affects gold and commodities, stuff like that too, but we're not going to cover that here. And we see the dollar starting to perk up and break out of this falling wedge. It doesn't need to actually go get new highs, but as this starts to go up, then you should see the market have a little bit more difficult time keeping up as well. All right, and so last but not least, we want to check out Bitcoin. We don't check out Bitcoin very often on this market, but I thought it would be very important to a lot of the community that I pay attention to on Twitter and whatnot. and so I think I'm going to start covering it. That's what I'm getting at. Covered it just a little bit more. I'm not going to go into coins and things like that, but Bitcoin in a whole has just had this huge bear flag, a channel, if you like. It can't be a bear flag until it's actually confirmed, but it's been obeying this channel very well. Came back to it, tested that 20 or 200-day moving average, and bounced off pretty hard. And so everybody got excited, got into it. But this is where we short, right here. Tomorrow, we'll throw on a swing trade as well. We had that nice reversal candle. It's a beautiful thing. We'll put our stop right above the candle top and the channel top. So easy. Either we lose a little bit of money, or the risk reward is that we make a lot, okay?